Yesterday on the bonus show, I told you that Donald Trump claims to be planning another summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Supposedly, this is going to happen at the end of February. And you might remember that that first meeting they had in Singapore was just an absolute and total failure. The media coverage was sort of glowing, at least from some enclaves. Trump certainly claimed victory during the flight back from Singapore, but nothing has happened. We have no reason to think that North Korean nuclear development has stopped. We still haven't heard a thing about getting those remains of American soldiers repatriated back to the United States. We now have a report that claims that it's actually maybe even worse than we thought in North Korea, because researchers have found a secret ballistic missile base in North Korea which the North Koreans haven't even admitted exists as a missile base. It's a facility that we're aware of, but we didn't know until more recently that it appears to be a missile base. And the report says that there may be as many as 20 of these previously undisclosed missile testing sites. The one that they name specifically is the Sino-Ri missile operating base, where ballistic missiles are being developed. And these are the types of missiles that could potentially be used to deliver a nuclear warhead, which, of course, North Korea is also developing. This is a report from defense think tank CSIS through a project of theirs called Beyond Parallel. The White House was asked for comment as of this morning. They have not given a comment. It's important to understand that if North Korea doesn't disclose somewhere between 1 and 20 missile sites, those aren't missile sites that could be on the negotiating table for Donald Trump, since they're not even disclosed and acknowledged. And to be clear, the U.S. has known about a lot of these locations as places where things have been going on. But the big news here is that it has become a missile facility, and something that's neither here nor there in evaluating the sort of logic behind Donald Trump's summits with Kim Jong-un and the number of facilities that they may have for missile testing is the topic of chemical warfare. It's not mentioned much within North Korea, but it's a big, big threat. There's a report from 10 years ago that North Korea has a stockpile of somewhere between 2,500 and 5,000 metric tons of chemical weapons. And this includes some of the common ones: mustard gas, sarin, and some other less common nerve agents, which of course could do huge, huge damage to neighboring countries. And for me, the fear isn't so much that North Korea is going to, on a whim, out of nowhere, unilaterally attack the United States or our allies or their neighbors. It's more that when you have erratic people like Trump dealing with them, they may end up retaliating or reacting in a disastrous way. And everything is just opposite with Trump when it comes to this stuff. He says on the flight back from Singapore after the first summit on Twitter, North Korea is no longer a threat. Turns out they potentially have 20 more missile sites than what we even knew about. They said last week ISIS has been defeated on the same day that they attack and kill 4 people. And within 5 days, another suicide attack just a few days later. I don't know, Pat, what there is to gain from having Donald Trump sit down with Kim Jong-un again. Do you think that there's even a chance that a second summit could actually accomplish anything?
No, and I mean, if these conversations were being had in good faith, then you'd have to cancel the meeting, right? Why would you have a second summit between Trump and Kim Jong-un if they're adding nuclear missile facilities? You would definitely want to cancel the meeting. But of course, the White House is staying silent on this. They want to have that second summit because it's good PR for the president, and the media seems to fawn over it.
The funniest thing for me still is that Donald Trump genuinely seems to think of it as an accomplishment that Kim Jong-un was willing to meet with him. Like, Trump seems to be thinking about this like, wow, I secured a meeting with Kim Jong-un, which is extraordinarily difficult to do. And of course, if you have any knowledge of the backstory and the last 20 years or even more with North Korean leaders, you know that they've always wanted to get a meeting with an American president in order to get those pictures and the propaganda value and being able to say, we're on the same level as an American president. And it's been the American presidents who have said, well, in order to really have the conversation about meeting, we're going to have to get some agreement via some preconditions need to be established. And there's going to have to be some concessions made by the North Korean leader before we even meet. That seems to not even enter into Trump's mind. He seems to think that it's an incredible accomplishment just to have been able to get a meeting with Kim Jong-un. And I'm not sure if anybody in the White House is explaining to him that that's not the case. My question to you, do you support a second summit between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un? And if you do, please tell me why, because at this point, I can't think of any good reason for this to go forward. Make sure you're following me on Instagram at david.pakman. And make sure you follow the show on Instagram at David Pakman Show, where I believe it's tomorrow, if Pat allows it, that I will be answering questions on our Instagram page from the audience. We'll see. I'll talk about that tomorrow, if indeed it is happening. If you love learning new things, you probably want to check this out. The David Pakman Show today is sponsored by Skillshare, and we're giving you 2 entire months of free access to Skillshare when you click the link underneath this video. Skillshare is a vibrant online learning community offering more than 25,000 video classes on just about anything you can think of. Get better at playing an instrument. Learn to use Photoshop. How to edit videos. They have classes on drawing, painting, business, cooking, nutrition, personal productivity, and I'm not even really scratching the surface. I recently took a great class on introductory watercolor painting. I'm still not good, but I am learning, and you can access the entire library of fun, easy to use online courses for free for 2 months by using the link underneath this video. 2 months of learning something that's totally new to you, something you want to get better at, something you already love, or you can get ahead in your career by learning new skills that will help you at your job. I've gotten a ton out of it. Pat has taken some courses that he's found really valuable, and I think you'll love it too. Get started for free by clicking the link under this video.